Fortunately, we won our fair share of them. A great match on Friday night on the Big Ten Network with Wisconsin. Um, I consider Wisconsin to be as good as any team in the country, and we knew we had to play at a very high level to be able to compete with them. And I just thought we put together a great match. Players had a great plan. They competed, made big plays, stepped up when they needed to, and just one of the best wins I think that we've had here at Purdue in the 21 years that I've been a part of things. And then the hardest part of the weekend really was having to turn around 24 hours later and be prepared to play a team like Maryland that is very capable. And as the scores indicated, the next evening it was a real battle. A couple of two-point games and one that wasn't 2 points, but it felt like it was. It was just a real grind to beat Maryland. And one of the things I mentioned on Twitter, I think it may have been yesterday, it's been kind of a blur, is that there are so many good teams in our league that just aren't going to have a chance to play in postseason play in the NCAA tournament just because their RPI numbers aren't going to meet the criteria. And yet you look at Illinois and even a team like Maryland and Northwestern and Indiana and on down the line, those teams are more than capable of competing in the NCAA tournament. But they for whatever reason this year, the Big Ten did not manage the RPI formula very well. And some of that was maybe teams getting upset in non-conference play. But we have to look at that as a coaching staff. When we have our meeting in about another month or two, we have to look at how we're going to do better with that, because it's just ridiculous that the Big Ten will only have 5 at the most teams in the NCAA tournament coming up when I still believe we have the best conference in the country for volleyball. So we go up to Michigan this week, and again, we'll play again on a Friday and Saturday. It's something we haven't done up until this past weekend, playing back-to-back nights. We'll do it again with Michigan Friday at Cliff Keen Arena, and then Michigan State, who played us extremely tough here just a week and a half ago, it seems like. We'll play them. It's the first time we've played Michigan. They've been playing very well as of late. I think they've won 4 of their last 6 matches. And so it'll be a tough weekend, just like every other week in the Big Ten. So, Israel, I'm ready for you, man.
So, yeah, that Wisconsin one, does that give you the feeling, or maybe you already had it, that you guys can truly beat anyone in the country right now?
Well, I think we have felt like we could play with anybody in the country. I do consider Wisconsin one of the 3 kingpins right now in the country, with probably Stanford and Nebraska. As you know, Wisconsin did not have one of their big players. Anna Smrek did not play. She's 6'9". She makes a difference, and she did return 2 days later to play at Indiana when they beat Indiana 3 straight yesterday. So still, they're plenty good with or without her, and I think our team believes. There's no question about that. But I think it's, how are you playing at that time, and timing is everything when you win big matches. And I thought we were ready for that one. We had 5 days to get ready and prepare, and our squad was prepared to play.
And then with Maryland, it was close, and I think I heard that you'd said that maybe you weren't super impressed with the way you guys came out. Does it say something about you guys to still get that sweep, or was that just a product of, what was that a product of, I guess?
When I watched the match on tape that night and again the next morning, we were better than I thought. I was a little bit like the team. You're fatigued. You're exhausted after you've had a 2-hour and 45-minute match, and you're bombarded with texts and social media and all that type of stuff, and you're trying to respond to that. At the same time, you've got to get ready to play Maryland, who swept us a year ago here. And it's a job that both the coaching staff and the players have to do to get ready. And so it's going to be a grind. You enter that match, and you just know it's going to be tough. And it was. And I think that just the mindset you have isn't the proper mindset because I did not think we played that well while it was going on. And then I go back and watch the tape, and we did some incredible things to keep our head above water. It's just that they went after us, as every Big Ten team will do. And they knew we were ripe for the picking on that particular night. And they came at us, and they had a lefty that's got a great arm that we had a hard time slowing down. And she had 18, 19 kills against us. And we couldn't find an answer for her. Everything else went pretty well. But again, at times we had to rely on some of the same people to carry us, and they did. I thought Eva, we were just setting the ball to her a lot, more than I would have liked to. But she was getting it done. And I think that our team does believe a lot in her, and when it comes down to crunch time, she'll get a lot of sets.
You mentioned the outpouring of on social media and whatnot. Anything stick out in terms of what people said to you or who reached out? And then how'd that feel to have, kind of the country's eyes on you guys that night?
Well, I think the players on this team have brought more attention to our volleyball program than I've seen in a long time. There's a lot of players that I think everybody is identifying with, certainly in our community, have identified a lot with Raven Colvin, who's a Purdue name, with Eva Hudson, whose mom played here and is a player from our state, and then Chloe Chacoin is somebody who was a rock star before she even came here. So I think that's brought a little more attention and their toughness that they lead, but it's every single player on our team that's making a difference. And I think we probably have done better than what a lot of people would have expected for this young team. We're still starting 3 freshmen, 2 sophomores, and a junior, and but at this point in time, they're playing more like a veteran team, and that's the surprising thing, is that they go out night after night and compete the way that they do.
And then, Chloe against Wisconsin, 23 digs. She was making plays all over the back of the court. Is that kind of a new role for her maybe moving forward, or is that just kind of her doing what she needed to?
No, I think it's maybe a combination of all those things. She's a great athlete. And, a lot of people before Chloe came to Purdue were wondering, is she going to be able to play all 6 rotations as, 3 in the front row and 3 in the back row, or will she evolve into a libero? And clearly she has done the opposite. She's been able to play every rotation and does a great job for us. But she can be as good of a defender as we have ever had at Purdue. She's quick. She's tough. She plays low on the floor. She can, play balls underhand. She can play balls overhead. And she just wants to win. And so she's spent a lot of extra time. I don't think anybody we've had on this team this year has been in the gym more than she has. She's in there every day for extra minutes, trying to get, whether it's serve receive or passing, serving, whatever it might be. She gets a lot of time in the gym. So she's kind of, the reason she's so good is because of her. She just outworks everybody else.
And last one for me, this trip to Michigan, is there anything that you'll be harping on especially, or that you really want to see them do to give you the right feeling as you end the season, or is there anything you're especially looking for out of them?
Well, we feel like there's some areas that we've been focused on lately that we have to continue to improve on, starting with serving. And serving has gotten better. I mean, it's helped us in these last several matches, especially against really good teams, to try to keep them a little bit at bay where they couldn't pass the ball to their setter and run whatever they'd like to run. Eva Hudson, somebody that is really serving the ball tough. Maddie Skimmerhorn serving has gotten much better. Chloe got us off to a great start in a couple of sets this past weekend with her top spin serve. Raven Colvin, who was our best server a year ago, had been a little inconsistent this year, but certainly against Maryland on Saturday night, her serving was really, really big. So we'll continue to look at the serving aspect of it. I just think that our players, even though they're young, they recognize now that every night in the Big Ten will be a challenge. And I know that these Michigan and Michigan State, those teams have always played us very, very tough, and it will be a challenge for us. We're still trying to position ourselves to host. If the season would end today, which it's not going to, but if it did end today, we would be hosting. Our RPI is 10 right now, so that puts us in a pretty good position. We'd like to improve that if we can this weekend.
Kind of going off of that, you mentioned RPI 10th, and the challenge has always been your non-conference schedule? How do we schedule some, probably winnable matches, some maybe mid-majors that are expected to win 25, 30 matches? How much of a challenge is that when you're putting this together and realizing we got to get teams that have a lot coming back, but also had a great year a year ago? And you mentioned maybe the league hasn't done a great job of that, but I imagine that's one of the tougher parts of your job is just putting a schedule together.
Yeah, it's become maybe the most difficult part. Used to be recruiting, was what was so challenging. But when you have a team, and we're going to have a really good team here for several years, but you have to put yourself in a position to play teams that are going to allow you to get that RPI. Like right now, I think our schedule is the third strongest as of this week, the third strongest in the country. Okay, now you can get the third strongest schedule in the country and get beat by a lot of teams, or you can go out and beat enough of them to put yourself in a good position. But it's really hard to get. Not everybody wants to come play at Purdue. The idea is to get those schools like a MAC, the best team in the MAC, to come here and play. But they want money to come here and play. And I know I was reading that the coach from Minnesota was just talking about it, and they had to pay, I think, $14,000 to get High Point to come play them. And not every Power 5 conference has that kind of money to spend to get people to come in and play. Somehow we managed this year to, really do a great job, hit a home run with our scheduling. And we won enough of those. When we lost the first two of the first three this season, I was a little concerned. But then we bounced back, and we won those 2 5-set matches up at Kansas, beating Kansas and Marquette, who are really good teams and are top 25 teams, and then knocked off Kentucky. That was a big win for us. So we kind of got the ship right, and then we've just been battling. We've won a lot of 5-set matches to keep ourselves in contention for a good seed.
Are the players aware what's at stake, or do you not let them know, hey, if we go take care of business this week, we're going to be at home for 2 matches next week?
They're fully aware of our situation, yeah. And we don't try to make a big deal out of it to put pressure on them. But I was on a board on Saturday explaining the RPI to them, making sure they understood how that worked, because I think they should know that. And you'd be surprised how many people don't have any idea how the RPI actually works. And there's a lot of people that don't understand why RPI is still such a big, big part of what the NCAA does for volleyball, the committee does for volleyball, when there's KPI and there's different other things out there, Massey ratings, all these different kind of ratings that look at it differently, and yet they still harp on primarily one thing, and that's the RPI. And so we know that, and so that's why we schedule the way that we do, because we know exactly what the criteria is. And people will talk about the rankings, like the AVCA coaches rankings. It means 0. They don't even pay any attention to it. Okay, so that's all just for teams to social media, I guess, and things like that. But this comes down to RPI, and there are bonus factors involved, like what's your record against top 25 teams. Well, we've done really well in that. Our record against top 25 RPI teams right now is 7-3. I think only Nebraska has a better record against top 25 teams than we do. So that's kind of also helped us get to that number 10 spot in the RPI.
Can you put into perspective how difficult the play is that Eva got the kill on against Wisconsin with, 2 diving digs, and for her to hit that cross shot with basically no angle at all?
Yeah, she probably makes that shot 1 out of 20 times probably. That's if she had practice, if she just kept tossing her balls, because she was off balance, leaning into the scorer's table, and you've got to hit it inside the antenna and have it land on the court. And the angle of that was extremely tight, as you know. So it was just one of those nights where we had some things go our way, and that's how you beat teams like that. Is something has to bounce your way.
Do you think the 2 passes before that get overlooked because of the outcome?
No, those were great plays. I mean, I know that Skimmerhorn came flying in to keep it off the floor, off-speed shot off the floor, and then Chloe drove through a ball, on the floor and got it up and directed it up somewhere we could play it, and then Eva, got it back in play, and then they weren't ready for it. They just couldn't believe that ball could have landed in bounds. So it was a great play.
You had senior nights and 2 seniors that had completely different paths and different kind of ends of their career. First, I think this would probably be Meg Renner's job setting if what happened didn't happen. So what has she meant to the program, I guess, this year, just kind of as a bystander on the sideline?
Yeah, Meg's just been a great player for us, a great person in this program for a long time, and very, very calm demeanor, and she's had some tough luck. You know, she redshirted her freshman year, and then the spring of her freshman year, she tore her ACL, and it took her about a year to recover from that. And then she knew she'd probably play behind Haley Bush for another year, and then it would be her team. And she worked really hard, and her junior year, redshirt junior year, it pretty much was her team, although people competed for that spot, but she did a really nice job. And then here she's waiting, you know, for this season, and second to last match of the spring season, she tears an ACL again. And there was just no way she could get back in time to help us. So, but, you know, what she's gone through, I think, you know, you can look at it from the side, man, that bad luck and what a terrible situation, but it's only made her better prepared for what lies ahead. She's always going to have problems. We all have problems, and how she demonstrated how she deals with that has been a great example for our entire program. You know, she's always come in with a good look on her face, and you know, made other people better around her.
McCutcheon obviously has had a pipeline of getting players into big-time college programs. Emily goes to Missouri and is playing a lot. Comes here, hasn't probably played as much as she would have liked, or, you know, as maybe she thought when she got here, but when she's played, she's done some great things for you, right? She's
had a really good year. You know, last year she played more because there were more backcourt spots available. When you have Chloe and Eva playing all 6 rotations, you really are only using the libero and one backcourt player. And when she has played, she's been great. Her passing numbers are probably second best on the team. Defensively, continues to get better. And again, she's been a very good teammate. And you know, we didn't know what to expect when she transferred, when she came here. You know, we liked her when she was playing with McCutcheon in Circle City. We liked her, but we didn't have money, and I think Missouri did, and so it made sense for her to go play at Missouri. And then that just wasn't what she wanted, and she wanted to come close to home. And to me, it's been a great match. I mean, she's come in and done a really good job for us, and smile on her face, and has worked hard and made people around her better.
Is that a key to a team that's, you know, hoping to be a tournament host, is having seniors who just they know a role and they're going to be prepared if it's their chance? And in Meg's case, I guess, knowing she's not going to get that opportunity, but
yeah,
rather than frown upon it, she says, how can I help this team in a different way?
Well, I think that's great leadership. You know, I think that when you have a culture, you're hoping that's what you get from your veteran players, because that's what people are going to learn from, and that's how they're going to respond to it by watching what other people do. And that's what we've had here. I mean, they've learned from other people. I mean, Meg Renner has been here for 5 years. She's seen a lot of players that haven't, you know, been playing as much as they like to, or have had a bad situation occur, and you just have to respond to it. And I also say that's because of where they come from. You know, their families have helped them with those situations. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Give the guy the microphone.
Is there anything that can happen this weekend, Dave, that would cost you the chance to host NCAA events?
Yeah, I think losing 2 matches. You know, we knew going into last weekend that if we won 3 out of 4, we'd host. That was kind of what the numbers made out to be. The win over Wisconsin helps you considerably, I think, with the committee. But you know, winning 2 out of 4 is not winning 3 out of 4. So you really need to win one of these, and if you want to, you know, have a better position, like right now we're 10. You know, we could maybe get a little bit better than that, but if we lose one of these, we're going to get a little worse, and that would dictate, you know, to some extent, who you play in the first round, and then who's that other really good team that's going to come in. There's going to be another really good team. When you look at the NCAA right now, there's probably, you know, 30 good teams, 30 teams that are capable of really giving you some problems. And so you want, you know, if you are the 10th seed, you do the math, then you're going to play someone with a 22 or 23rd seed in that second round. And that's better than playing somebody that's the 18th seed.
You mentioned Minnesota paying High Point $14,000. You talk about win guarantees, how long they've been around in volleyball, and does Purdue pay any guarantees to get home opponents?
Yeah, we're definitely paying similar amount of money to get people here. And I appreciate the fact that our administration understands the value of that. And I think most of the Big Ten programs are doing something similar. I think Nebraska pays probably more than anybody. But, we hosted, I think, 7 non-conference matches this past year. 7 of our 9 were here. And we're just fortunate that we were able to make that happen. Now, a couple of those are tournaments. Now, one with Kentucky and SMU and Houston, and we hosted the first one. Now we got to go down to Texas for next year, and then back to Kentucky, and then back to Texas. So we won't host that one again. So, but yeah, we're doing that, and it makes a big difference. And how long has it been around? I don't think we were doing that when I first got here. I'd say probably 10, 12 years ago, that's when that became a pretty big deal, when people recognized that to get RPI boost, you needed to get, mid-majors or smaller conference. It really doesn't matter. If we beat Wisconsin, who was, I think, 23-2 when we played them, or 23-1, 2, you get the same bump if you beat Valparaiso, and they're 23-2. And not being negative about Valparaiso because they've got a good program, but it really doesn't matter in the RPI eye. It's just what's their record and what's their opponent's records when you figure that out. So you don't have to play the best. You don't have to play Stanford to get that bump. You can play someone else who has the same record. Yeah. Okay, thank you.